Hi folks, hope you're doing well. So going from the last video, of course the last video's saying if you see red, walk. If you don't walk, they see green. Well, because you're giving them the green light to carry on. If you see red lights, danger, danger, danger with people, but you don't walk away, you're showing them that you don't think you're worth more than the abuse that they're going to give you. And therefore they will give you it because look, the reality is people won't behave in ways, although that's not necessarily true. Yeah, good point. Okay. I was going to say, people won't necessarily behave in ways that they've never been allowed to behave in before. But that isn't necessarily true, because they've had the safety of what they've had before to lean on. Now, if you're telling them they've got to become this new thing, to receive what God is doing now, to be a son and to learn his nature and to let go of everything else. Yeah. So yes, it is possible that people could behave to an extreme of how they normally would in that sort of circumstance. A panic. But it won't last. It won't be who they are. It would just be, it's perfectly reasonable to expect that to happen. Once or twice, because it's going to. Generally speaking, God is not going to want you to be treated like absolute crap by anybody. It doesn't glorify him. Not in any way, shape or form. It doesn't. And if people are wanting to dismiss you, to dismiss the message, the more you allow them to do that, the more an excuse they have as to why they dismiss the message. So therefore, yes. Don't allow them to use you to do that. If God wants you to be used to do that, well then you can't do anything about it. So if you try and walk away, but walking away isn't working, well then, maybe God is saying he doesn't want you to walk away. But if walking away works, well then, why is it, and I don't get this, why is it people say that God is all-powerful, all-knowing, omnipotent, or whatever the word is, but everything, basically. And his plans are so much bigger than ours, and his knowledge, his understanding, and yet they cannot for a second consider that things happen because God wants them to. The whole idea, you bring up the Jews all being annihilated by the Nazis, and the idea that God wanted that to happen. Yet a lot of people in church couldn't even consider that possibility. They say the devil did it, but they can't for a second consider it. That's why Job is a very difficult one for people to read. Because when you read what's going on between God and the devil, you see that God did want Job to suffer. Because he said to the devil, you can make him suffer to a certain degree, but you can't kill him. Right? Yeah? So God okayed Job's suffering. So God therefore wanted Job to suffer. Why? Because he wanted Job to go through that and yet still love him, still not blame him. Because that was the thing between the devil and God. The devil was saying to God, he will blame you. And God said, no, he won't. Basically, do all that and he won't blame me. God wanted Job to go through that. But tell people that, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. They just can't do it. They just can't go there. That's why the Bible is for babies. Someone who is mature, someone who is has gone through faith to knowledge to understanding, understands that God is a big boy and God can use whatever he wants to use. If he wants to use suffering, he's going to use suffering, and he does all the time. If God is going to use suffering, it means he wants the suffering to happen. Clearly, because he wants to use it. It's not a case where God is like, oh, I've got to get this message through to that person. How am I going to do it? Oh, 1 second. Oh, the devil's making them suffer with that. I'll use that. This is what people think God is. And how God does things. That he's not in control. Yeah. But that's the point. If you're telling people that God is actually in control and they can't hack it, walk away. If it's blowing their tiny little mind, they can't hack the idea that God is in control. I mean, come on. I've said time and time again on this channel over the past 2 years that God uses things to teach us. Yeah, I had neighbours who were nasty little pieces of crap, but God wanted them there to be who they were. He knew who they were. He knew their nature. He put them there to do that because he knew they would, because it's their nature. He didn't make them do that. He just knew they would because it's who they are. But he didn't put them there for me to tell him how bad they were. He put them there to cause me to suffer, to then test me, see how I react under that pressure, under that suffering, and then it shows what's in me. You try and explain that to people, and they go, nah, God wouldn't do that. What? No wonder people won't understand me. How can they? Because my life has been full of that, full of suffering, but suffering for a purpose. Always for a purpose. The whole idea of shake me, break me, make me is shaking causes a degree of suffering, breaking causes a heck of a lot of bloody suffering, but then you get the making. Right? Suffering for a purpose, for a teaching, for growth, for development, for making you stronger. But again, people just think, no, it's the devil who wants us to suffer. And it's got nothing to do with God, our suffering. Idiotic. Absolute idiots. It's like the whole idea of, the early Christians being thrown to lions. That was nothing to do with God, and God couldn't do anything about it. Really? God's up there going, oh no, they've thrown them to the lions. Oh! This is what people think. Yeah. Yeah, come on. It's ridiculous. But when you come across ridiculous, walk away. When you come across insanity, if you don't walk away, you go a bit insane. You will do. You're going to go a bit insane. If you're dealing with insanity all the time, that's going to happen. Yeah. So, yeah. Now, of course, you can learn things from it, but yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Don't let them see a green flag. Walk away when you see the reds. Yeah. So there you go. You take care. God bless. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.